of Energy does, and some parts of Congress do. But they're spending, and they're spending very, very heavily. You know, they copy much of our technology. They subsidize the production. They subsidize the consumption. You know, if it moves, they subsidize it, and if it doesn't move, they subsidize it anyhow. It makes it very impossible. So, if you look at what they have done here, you can read that the $30 billion in low-cost loads to drive down the price of polysilicon. By the way, these loans are not always repaid. They're usually rolled over or forgiven or just lost in the ambiguity of Chinese economy. By the way, these guys are not evil. This is a national goal. They're addressing global warming. They're desperately trying to lower, make more sustainable their energy costs, but they're working at it as a national priority. The question is, are we? They also, of course, are busily taking our technology. You know, they believe in free trade. By the way, if you actually believe in free trade, you probably also believe Italian soccer players are hurt when they fall on the ground. But what they're doing is they've got a good deal. If they have cheap modules, they send them here, and we use them because they're cheap. And like cheap drugs from Mexico, what could be wrong? And if we have a machine that makes it, the only thing they ask is that we send them the machine, because they wouldn't really like us to send them product. That asymmetry, of course, gets more and more serious. And I think this is what you were describing. You know, I come from a time in the United States where I don't like this type of graph. And one of the things some of you may remember from the semiconductor industry is we actually managed to reverse that. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But reversing those things are pretty hard. I was pleased that Min could talk that whole time without mentioning Solyndra. This is one of the things that you hired the Academy to talk about. There was also another scandal, I don't know when you heard about it. The Liberty ships during World War II, many of those ships sank. It was an enormous scandal. And only a few government types kept mumbling something about U-boats. The ship sank because they were sunk by U-boats. Solyndra was sunk by Chinese subsidies. What don't we understand about this? Why doesn't the press talk about that sort of thing? Why do people say that we shouldn't support industry? You know, I really am kind of amused, and I really do. There was a time in the United States when the government didn't support industry. That was from about 1792 to 1797. We had some problems with two principal suppliers of muskets. We were about to fight the French, and we were always fighting the British. They made the muskets. We didn't have muskets in any quantity. So we came up, as I'm sure some of you know here, Eli Whitney came up with a plan to produce muskets with interchangeable parts. And in the best tradition of American military procurement, it took 3 times longer and it cost 4 times as much as it was supposed to. But eventually he did it through the help of Simeon North. Samuel Morse, are you familiar with the portrait painter? Celebrated portrait painter who had this idea that he could actually send signals down a wire. Many in the Congress debated it from 1837 when he applied for a huge grant. $30,000, huge amount of money at that time. Many of them thought that God did not intend us to send messages down wires. They were right, it was meant to be wireless, but it took The Wright brothers, I didn't know this a few years ago. Jack Gansler, the former undersecretary, it was an Army contract they were competing for. I didn't know that. For a while, we didn't have any government involvement in the airplane industry, which is why when we got in World War I, we had to use hand-me-down French planes, notably the Newport 128, a very agile very good aircraft. Very important, though, not to put it into a dive because the top wing would come off. And since at that time we didn't want our men to use parachutes as a way of encouraging them, that didn't work so well. So, you all know, of course, the Radio Corporation of America is not just a name. It was founded by the Navy. Because Josephias Daniels, who was then Secretary of the Navy, did not trust the British for civilian technology's use of the radio. Interesting. Navy concerned about the civilian applications. So they got Westinghouse and Marconi and GE to pull their patents, obliged them through the Department of Justice, provided equity capital, and took a seat on the board. And if you, the only thing that's comparable to the internet, of course, is that huge surge in 1919, 1920. The Postal Act. Are you beginning to get a pattern here? But if you look at what we've done recently, whether it's radar, jet aircraft, computer, satellites, huge involvement of the government, the whole foundations of the modern economy. And for those of you in the semiconductor business, one of the things that's actually happened to me up in Capitol Hill, are you familiar with this? This regulates the heart, blood, and pulse of all Senate and congressional staff. They carry it with them at all times, rarely. But they've actually been sitting there talking to me, so what do you think semiconductors are so important anyhow? It's almost comic, our inability. You know, when you find some of the orthodox economists will tell you, well, semiconductors are just a commodity industry. But that brilliant quote you put up from Andy Grove, talking about, you know, one day's commodity is a foundation for the next step. But just on a note of real humor here, you may know this wonderful film where the Jewish rebels are wanting to drive out the Romans, and one of them says, well, what have the Romans ever done for us? And the dumb guy says, well, the roads. And then you fast forward and they say, okay, so apart from the roads, the sewers, the medicine, the forum, the theater, education, public order, irrigation, fresh water, and public baths, what have they ever done for us? And that, of course, is Americans' general view of their government. I want you to be sure to tell your kids that the nuclear industry was not founded by Nuke and Lear. I always enjoyed the story of the first civilian reactor that was put up near Shippingsport, Pennsylvania, near my hometown of Pittsburgh, by Admiral Rickover and his staff. That was the civilian reactor. So, what's the U.S. strategy here for PV? Well, our strategy here is to be the skunk works for the rest of the world. We invest in the research, they do the manufacturing and sell us the products. Now, if you think that's sustainable over time, maybe we should go out and have a beer. I'd like to understand how that would work. The question, of course, is where does the money for the skunk works come from? So the question we have is how can we reassert global leadership in PV? And by the way, reasserting is a tough task. Leadership is hard to get, easy to lose. We have to make very substantial investment in public-private cooperation. I think one of the main messages that you heard today, why you're here, is that we can't do this alone. The private sector cannot do this alone, and the public sector cannot do it alone. We absolutely have to cooperate on the nitty-gritty of making this industry work and work faster. We need to remove these regulatory obstacles that I hope we'll be talking about. We need to promote manufacturing, and we need to do that really very substantially. And we also need to foster collaborative research, which is one of the places that you're standing, one of the places we're standing, of course, is an ideal example of that. These are some of the things that were already pointed out. One is making PV more durable, and the question's back here, how do we know it's durable? That is a very, very interesting one, particularly if you're going to equip half the country with panels coming in from another country. I think we should ask some of the people who install plasterboard in Florida about how durable some of these products are. If you're familiar with the scandal, but it would not meet the specs. These are some of the things we need to think about. Broader financing through a clean energy bank. questions that I'd like to ask. You know, some people want to get away from subsidies for the industry. Everyone should get away from subsidies because subsidies are bad. But I think we should support industry. Support is good. I mean, ask the guys from the coal industry. They can explain to you why support is good. In fact, the support is so institutionalized that no one actually notices that we do this. It's just part of the fabric. If we're not going to support, then how do we compete with a world that does do it? The collaborative research is something that we have proven time and time again that we're good at. Gordon Moore led this study. For those of you who know the founder of Intel, he's not what I would call socialist. He's not a big government guy, but he does get it. He understands what the government can do, what industry